the woods. Welcome back to the chase. It's Friday, November 8th. Gavin and I are set up on the Mount Olympus farm. We're in a new spot. We're at the head of this first big draw between the two CRP squares. I'm still just trying to figure out how these deer are using this place. You know, we've hunted in the main draw a few times, and we see a couple deer, but we haven't seen anything crazy. And we've got all this cut bean field up here. The other night we sat in the redneck and it just seemed like a lot of deer were coming up and down these draws going to the beans as opposed to going to the little green plots. Sometimes the first year of planting those, they don't quite figure them out, but I've been kind of staring at the aerials, and this big waterway in this bean field it makes sense, you know, connecting up to this one being just a travel corridor for them to connect up to the next block of timber. So, got this stand hung in a red oak. We hung a permanent set just so I considered a few times without having to do hanging hunts, but we'll see. There's a big trail, there's scrapes. We've got the fence row and then the edges of these two CRP fields with this draw. So we will see what we see. A lot of mature bucks around this farm. Still fingers crossed for, you know, a big one to show up. We've got about 2 hours to go, so we're just gonna sit back and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. It's that super mature buck. His teeth, his short time tan. He's that giant body when I sent you the picture. We are down to our last 10 minutes, and we just saw our first couple of deer of the night. They're up in this waterway, the CRP. It's actually a mature buck. I've got some pictures of him, huge body on him, kind of a shorter tine 10. It looks like he's just tinning a doe in there. They're not moving very much. They stood up and then moved a little bit to the right, and they're behind the hill. I can't see them. They haven't come out of there yet, though. Anyway, it's a nice spot. I think this spot will be a spot we can sit again and try to keep learning how the deer use this area. I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to be in the morning. I'm able to hunt tomorrow and the next day. May take out Bella. Next week, I have Tuesday morning off, and that's it. Well, Friday afternoon, but I saved some of my vacation days for the following week, kind of closer to the end of November, kind of get some post-rut activity. So we will see if we can have any luck here over the weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 12th. Yesterday was Veterans Day. I was at work all day, so just want to say thank you to all the veterans out there. Appreciate all you guys and gals. Gavin and I are set up at the Mount Olympus farm, and we're back in this little red oak we've hunted a couple times. It's the third time we hunted, I think, third or fourth. We're overlooking the Big Bottom. Yesterday we had about 12 hours of northwest wind that brought high pressure. So it's cool and crispy this morning. It's about 30 degrees, high pressure. Feels great outside. The wind has already switched back. It's out of the east. It's really kind of light and variable right now, but it's supposed to be blowing east, southeast all day again. Seems to be the only wind that's landing on the days that I hunt. So I don't have a ton of spots for this wind. It's not a super common wind other than this year, but I thought about hunting a few different locations, coming and doing a hanging hunt, but when you look at the aerial of this farm, it's hard to argue. I think this spot is about one of the best spots you could sit for a southeast wind. Just the visibility we have. Watching over this entire draw, we can see the fingers that feed down into it. Just see a lot of country. And we've already had 3 young bucks come in, snort wheezing and bristling up to each other, so pretty cool. It's a good start to the morning. Hopefully we have some good action. I can only hunt a few hours. I've got to work this afternoon. So fingers crossed we continue to see some good activity. Could be. He's so regal looking. What's about 10 o'clock, and we are going to have to wrap up the morning here. It's been a great morning. I think we're up to 10 bucks or so. Lots of cruising. Actually saw a few does. Some of the bucks are off in the distance in that rye plot in the bottom. There was a doe or two, and a fawn, and a couple bucks. They never made it this way. I'm not sure that we got much footage of them, but you know, definite cruising, moving around. It's nice to have a good hunt out of this stand because we've had some really slow hunts on this farm so far this year, but it's a day, it just feels so great. It's a day that you'd like to sit all day, but unfortunately, I've got to get to work. So we're gonna start packing up and head out. Just to catch you guys up on the last few days. So as you saw in the beginning, on Friday we hung a new set on the other side of this draw and had a good hunt. Saturday morning and Sunday morning we hunted out here, and once in this stand and once up on the hill in the redneck, just to try to see more country, and had a pretty slow hunt. Saw a buck or two, little 1.5, 2.5-year-olds late in the morning, and so the activity was really slow. Saturday and Sunday, got to spend time with Bella in the tree stand. You know, one of our main goals this fall was getting Bella a bow deer, and we've been, you know, she has a lot of extracurricular things outside of school and hunting, and we haven't had a ton of time to hunt, but the last few weekends we were able to get out, and I really wanted her to experience some rut hunting and kind of teach her about that. And you know, we had just a lot of fun, had some really good hunts. We set the pinch. If you guys follow us on our social media, you know, you've seen already that she had success, and that was Sunday night. Really fun hunt. You know, teaching her about rattling. We hunted next to a doe bedding area. Lots of cruising. Actually used a doe decoy. So it was really a lot of fun, and then she was able to get a 4.5-year-old buck with her bow, watched him fall over on camera. Couldn't be more proud of her, and excited to bring that show to you guys. That area, couple topics to talk about regarding that. You know, that's the south plot on the river bottom farm. That's where we encountered moss earlier in the year. I like to hunt it early for doe hunting. It's tight to bedding. It's a little rut greens with cold climate food plot right tight to bedding. And so, of course, as we get closer to peak breeding, which is, you know, November 15th or so here in Iowa, you know, you want to hunt near doe bedding, and that's where those bucks are cruising. And it just set a perfect bit of straight west wind, food, you know, a tree with good cover. And we ended up seeing 7 or 8 bucks. So it was a really ideal setup. And then the doe decoy, you know, I'm not a huge decoy guy. Normally I'm hunting a specific buck, and I rather hunt pinches and try to get them into a funnel situation where I can get them coming by the stand. I don't like to introduce the sort of unknown of the decoy, right? Sometimes it can backfire against you. Does will be blowing at it, you know, or whatever. So I don't always like to do that. On a year like this year where I don't have a specific buck I'm hunting, we're out there having fun. Decoys can be so much fun, and just getting to see that deer behavior, and particularly in like open field settings. So a couple times where we've gone and sat out in the open, we've brought the buck decoy. That pre-rut time frame, it's hard to beat a buck decoy. They're feeling aggressive. There's not a lot of receptive does. And even into the rut, of course, you can have success with a buck decoy, and that's usually what I use if I do use a decoy. And then I started thinking more for Bella, you know, about the doe decoy, particularly as we were getting deeper into or closer to the time where we're getting into lockdown and peak breeding. That food plot, a lot of deer will be at 30, 35, 40 yards, and I really wanted deer to be within 20 for her, but certainly within 25. And so decided to bring the doe decoy to have less chance of spooking does off or creating more negative interactions. And so we brought the doe decoy and set her up at 16 yards and had multiple bucks come and check her out. And with a 13-year-old, I just wanted to be able to slow the situation down, be able to talk to her. The rut has a lot of high-speed stuff. You got to make decisions quick. You got to be able to pull back and shoot and do these types of things. So the decoy just slows the situation down, gets the deer in close, and hopefully lets us execute, which is what happened. A few of the differences in using a decoy, as far as a buck decoy, buck decoys, deer in general will try to circle downwind of your decoy, and then bucks tend to approach buck decoys head on. So I usually set them up quartering towards me, where hopefully when the buck's approaching, he's quartering away or broadside. And then, does, they generally approach from behind. So we put quartering away doe so that when the buck's approaching from the rear, he'd be quartering away from us or broadside. That's kind of general setups, obviously paying attention to visibility. Effective shooting range kind of dictates where you're going to set them up. You saw on the home farm that we set it up in an unconventional way. That was a situation where I put the buck right under the blind, basically, but right there, they cannot get downwind of us. I mean, it's just a thick, gnarly draw. It just drops 30 feet off the back of the blind. It's just bush honeysuckle. It's an old fence. It's some deadfalls. So they can't really circle behind you. And that worked really well to have them come in very close range. And the last thing I'll mention is scent. I think you got to be careful with how much human scent you get on your decoy. I actually was telling Gavin I should be doing better with wearing gloves when I was touching it, because I was touching with my bare hands, but I did spray down with some scent elimination and then utilized the Conquest Scents estrus doe, like for Bella's hunt. And for the buck decoys, I'd put some testosterone rutting buck scent on there, just to hopefully calm the deer and make it more realistic. But the estrus scent on the doe, I mean, it was fun to watch the young bucks come in and sniff her and interact with her. So pretty cool. Hopefully some of those things help you guys out. I mean, I think decoy hunting it's a lot of fun, but also in this situation, it just made it more effective for someone who is, less experienced, trying to be able to talk her through things, and really happy with how everything turned out. And I really hope you guys enjoy that episode. It's certainly one I'm very proud of and will be near and dear to my heart for a long time. I am going to be working the rest of this week. So the next time I'll be out is Friday afternoon, and I took some sort of post-rut vacation days. So I'll be working this week. We'll hunt this weekend some, and then we'll be looking forward to some of that post-rut action. I decided not to hunt peak. I have a limited number of days I can take off, and so I said I'm going to try this year hunting post-rut. For those of you hunting in the next week, it's now more than ever, that time is going to be, it's a patience game. Time on the stand and patience. The maximum number of does are in estrus, and so you may not see a lot of mature bucks on their feet moving around. They'll generally be locked down for a couple days, maybe 3 days, maybe sometimes a little bit less. So it's one of those where you got to catch them between does, and you really just got to put your time in. Travel corridors between doe bedding or downwind edges of doe bedding, pinches and funnels, and just put your time in. And we do have some weather changes happening. There's some north winds. There'll be like a day of a north wind and then switching back to south. So a lot of those switching events are good. I like to have the variability. I think it helps keep stuff interesting. So for those of you who are out all next week, good luck to you. And we'll see you guys on the next one.